My name is Sarah, and I'm writing a novel. Anyway, yeah, so I'm back. This is day 8. It's day 8. I had to look at my calendar. Anyway, it is day 8 of NaNoWriMo, and it is the day after the long 4th of July weekend, which for me is also my anniversary, so I didn't get a lot of writing done. That's what that boils down to. I am still got some time to the day here. I want to try and get a couple thousand words in before I go to bed. So after I get done with this video, I'm gonna be writing like mad. And yeah, which is fine. Sometimes I like the challenge. And you know, there's always word sprints and stuff. I do enjoy doing word sprints. It's good. It helps me push myself. I get to see how fast I write. So anyway, today what I wanted to talk about, I know I'm doing these videos kind of backwards. I'm gonna talk about what my books are about today. Realizing that I should have probably done that in one of the first videos. But anyway, yeah, so today I want to tell you the general premises of my books. And I've mentioned before that I plotted out 6 of them in a go. And so I know generally what each book is going to be about. You know, the plot of each book. But I also have the books themselves in an outline format so that I know how each one of the books falls into the larger plot. Because I think if you're going to take the time to, you know, plan to do multiple books at one go, you should have like a unifying plot that runs from the first book all the way to the last book. How well that ends up getting executed, we'll find out. But right now, it's working out pretty well. So, but I'm only, like I said, on the second book. The way my goals are going, I'm supposed to be done with the rough draft of the second book by like the 15th. So we'll see. I don't know if I'm gonna make that goal. So I don't know. I might end up with a draft and a half by the end of the month, which, you know, it's still more than I had. And it's also teaching me what my actual writing, what my actual word count per day is reliably. So, and like I said, learning experience. I'm learning these things. I'm writing faster than other people, if that comes out correctly, but not as fast as I want to be writing. So, and I don't know if I can get myself to that speed without some serious outlining, which I haven't done for the last 3 books. And the first 3 books, I do have a bit more of a tight outline. But anyway, on to what my books are about. So my books are, in general, based on some role play that I did once upon a time. And I really fell in love with mine and 2 of my friends' characters. And I have permission from them to use those characters in a series of books. And it's really kind of fun because they know I'm writing these. And so sometimes when I really need a brainstorming session, I can just kind of talk with these 2. And it's really nice because like some story elements really got rewrote the last few days because of conversations that myself and one of my friends were having about this. I kind of almost think of them as kind of co-authors, even though they're not like writing the book, but you know, they did create the characters that I'm using, and I continually ask them questions and bounce ideas off of them. So I super appreciate the help that they are giving me. And yeah, I mean, like it's kind of like our baby. I'm just the one who's putting all the words on paper, which seems like a lot, but I don't know. I guess when you're already a writer and you're already writing, it's just kind of like, yeah, I'll write that. I don't know. I guess I undervalue myself, but anyway, my point being, I see the value of the invisible work that they have given me, and I want to acknowledge that. But so in general, now keep in mind, this is like very loosely based on this roleplay. At this point, I don't even know if the people who were involved in the roleplay would even recognize any of the stories at this point. That's how much I've had to change a few things. Well, more than a few. But the general premises is, through all 6 books, is basically the rise and fall of this family, the rise and fall and re-rise of this, like, you know how you put a family together? Oh my god, I have no words today. Anyway, this crew of space scavengers, because, I don't know, pirates are so done. Space pirates are everywhere. So these guys are more, I've decided to make them more like scavengers. So they find and salvage, salvagers. They find and salvage space wreckage and that kind of stuff. And then on the side, they also do like little things on the side, like smuggling. And, you know, sometimes they'll go do special jobs because, I don't know, I like having people that kill other people in my books. Says a lot about me, I think. Anyway, so that's like the general story, is from book 1 to book 6 is just following this crew, watching them develop, and then in book 6 there's a big upheaval, and that will start becoming more, the coming of the upheaval will be more apparent starting in book 3, because I feel like that's kind of like the middle of all of these books. And so like the foreshadowing that I'm working on in the first 3 books will become much more apparent in book 3, and then book 4 and 5 will be a definite lead up to the grand finale that should be book 6. So like I have that in my head. And then it's also a very character driven story because there's romantic elements in it, because 2 of the characters are, you know, they have to slowly fall in love, and then by the end of the 6th book, that's going to be like they'll be married by the 6th book. But in the middle there, you know, they've got to kind of do the relationship thing. And I've got multiple points of view. I think I mentioned this in an earlier video. I've got 5 main characters who I tell the point of view of the story from. And I know some people will cringe, and I'm really hoping that it works. And my beta readers have told me that it's not hard to follow the story as it moves between the 5 characters. And I just feel like there's so much going on in my stories. I feel like you need the perspective of these 5 characters, because each one of the characters is at a different level within the ship. Like, one of them is a commander, one of them is an elite mission goer, one of them is like the comms and text person, and then another one of them is just like low-ranking dude. And there's vital things in each story that happen in each one's sphere, and I just like having one character be the viewpoint for everything just wouldn't make sense, because it doesn't matter which character you pick, there are situations that character would never be in because they're just not privy to that. So I think having the 5 viewpoints is a good compromise. I don't have to switch through them like continuously. I don't try to cram all 5 views into each chapter. You know, whoever the story is most predominantly being told through, which is normally either the card or the freest character, you know, they're the main viewpoints, and then everybody else, I use them as things happen and they are required to be there. I don't think it's weird. Writing it is actually working out really well. I'm pretty happy with it. And yeah, the other really neat thing that I'm doing, I think it's neat personally, that I'm doing with my stories is since they're aliens, I don't see a point to enforcing gender and sexual stereotypes onto them from like modern day. And that would be modern day America, because that's where I live. I don't know what these things are like outside of my country, because I am a typical American and don't know where most countries are located on a map. It's okay. Life goes on. That's actually more true than I care to, more true than I really want to think about. Anyway, but, you know, America's got some, you know, we've been going through some social change with the whole concepts of like who's what gender, what does gender mean, how do I express gender, and the whole concept of sexuality is just like all over the damn place, which, you know, whatever. I think that's great. It makes life interesting. I myself am a bisexual, and I think that's kind of cool. I personally have no issues with it. Neither do my partner. So yeah, so what I don't see why, if you're in space, and think about this, if you are an alien and you are like a non-human alien, where is the guarantee that A, you have a binary gender system to begin with, and B, you have what, a trinary sexuality system, you know? So it's been really interesting to write about my characters in a non-binary pansexual way. I feel like it's being very freeing because it allows me to do a lot more with the characters than I think I would be able to do with them if I were trying to make sure that people understood the characters' gender and sexual preference through that. I mean, these are not by any stretch main points of the story. Like, they're not main points of the story, but honestly, I don't know if you could tell the story without these characters being non-binary and pansexual. I don't think the story would work if you took those elements away from the characters themselves. But it's also not like I had the characters walking around like, I'm pansexual. Like, it's just what they are. So I don't have to. I like the challenge of showing that in the story without having to tell people what it is and what it means. And I hope people really enjoy that. I hope people can pick up the books and when they read the characters, they can see themselves in the characters, because the characters are so fluid and so open that it's not one of those situations where you're like, oh, I can't like that character because that character's female and I'm a boy, or vice versa. You know, like, those characters, my characters, like, there are some male characters and there are some female characters, but for the most part, a lot of them are falling into the they category, and I am using they them pronouns, and that has been interesting because writing the pronouns they and them causes some issues, and not the whole like, oh my god, they them. It's like, so I have to be really careful about making sure that my readers understand when I'm using they and them as plurals and they and them as singulars. And it gets tricky sometimes because I'll have scenes where there'll be multiple non-binary characters in the scene, and so everybody's pronoun is they and them. And then, you know, it's like you want to refer to the group of them, and it's the same pronoun. So it gets a little tricky. I did, for a while, on one of the first drafts of the first book, I did try to play around with the, I don't really know how to explain them, the pronouns that are extra, like Z and Zer. Somebody was pointing out to me that there was another author who just used E. So it was, I guess in their books it's he, she, and E, like the letter E. And I tried that a little bit. So I did several scenes where I was using just completely alternative pronouns. I did a little bit of research on the internet and tried it. Maybe if it was another author handling it, maybe it would work, and it would certainly clear up the they and them problem, but it's hard to read. When I did a read through, it was hard to read, and my beta readers didn't get it. So I was waving at my partner who just came in and who is still talking. So that's why I decided to stick with the they them pronouns and not use the more creative pronouns that are out there. I'm not against them. The scenes when I had them in there, it was interesting. And like I said, it does help like distinguish the characters a little bit better, but at the same time, it's just hard to read. It just makes it hard to read. And, you know, maybe 5-10 years down the road, when that's become a common practice and people are more used to it, that might be something to go back and revisit. But just right now, it's just like the #1 complaint I got from my beta readers when they were reading those scenes was that it was hard to stay in the moment in the scene because the pronouns were just too much. So I switched over to they and them. Nobody has that complaint anymore. It's a lot easier to follow the story. It does flow. I just have to be extra careful when I'm talking about them, the individual, and them, the group of people. But anyway, my partner is back from the store, and that doesn't really mean anything to you, but it means stuff to me. So I'm going to see you guys tomorrow, and yeah, see everybody then.